So thank you very much for your patience. So I'm Alastair. As Tom said, I'm a Chief Innovation Officer, which is the best fucking job in the world. I get to work on amazing new products, have lots of fun. I work with this amazing lady, Kim Laurie here, who's a Senior Creative Technologist in my agency, and I believe that AI has the potential to know each of you better than you know yourselves, and it's powering the wave of new nudges. New nudge theory, which came out in 2008, proposes that positive reinforcement and indirect suggestions can achieve non-forced compliance to influence the motives, the incentives, and the decision-making of groups and individuals. Having read that in 2008, my first experience of behavioural economics was waiting on this fly in Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. I was on my way into Amsterdam, so actually it was pretty easy to focus and hit the fly. Different story on the way out. New nudges, right? Not the old nudges, new nudges are powered by AI. They represent the next generation of intelligent influence and behaviour change. And they combine data, technology and creativity, initially to enhance recommendation engines, and then naturally moving into more fully fledged creative ideas, likely starting on digital TV, which is still the biggest draw. And this new creativity is much needed because the world of creative is kind of fucked. In 2014, Sir John Hegarty said of advertising, by and large, the product is shit. 2 years later, IPA came out and wrote a very scathing report suggesting that investment in creativity was down, short-termism was undermining creative effectiveness, and the fame effects of creative rewarding campaigns, the reason we come to work, right, for the fame, had fallen for the first time in 20 years. And today things aren't much better. You know, recent political change, in particular the rise of popularism and protectionism, have lowered the standard of debate and creativity in this country and beyond. And there's also an obvious fear that brands have, right? They're shitting themselves. They're worried about upsetting any individual, any group, plus they're concerned that in the space of 140 characters, they take their brand from hero to zero. It's a dangerous place, and everything has become safe, and creativity desperately needs the help of us and our technology and data friends. And the reason that we're so passionate about creative is because our industry might value it. There's the myriad awards, the Gun Report, they're the lifeblood of creative agencies. But actually we've been creative since the dawn of time. This is a cave painting in Spain. It's about 126,000 years old. These are abstract art expressions created by Neanderthals. They've actually got a bad rap. Actually, they hunted in groups. They communicated. They buried their dead. A bit of a bad rap. But creativity emerged as a byproduct of our biological evolution. We developed stories so we could pass on information. We played games so that we could simulate hunting, and we created tools, axes, in order that we could live. And actually, our creative and cultural evolution came out as a byproduct from that. If I could tell better stories, if I could win at games, and I could create a more symmetrical looking axe, then maybe actually I'd be more appealing as a partner for somebody else. Creative people have fewer children than others, and they spend more time at work making stuff and away from home, which is in direct contrast to our biological evolution. So why do we make these choices, right? Because creativity is more than just ads. It's actually critical to our modern being. It's our ability to express ourselves, and that's a fundamental part of who we are. In his best-selling 1980 book, The Third Way, futurologist Alvin Toffler coined the term prosumer. Hands up if you've heard the term prosumer. He was right? Toffler predicted that the roles of production, producers and consumers would merge as we ended up in a saturated marketplace, and he was right. Within 20 years, so the end of the 1990s, when I was working on the Science Park, building mass hosting solutions to let anybody with a pulse and a passion create a fairly dodgy looking website, we started creating these tools, okay? And as people got better at making their own stuff, they became better able to judge the quality of stuff made by brands and other people, and a lot of the time we felt we could do better. The analogy I've heard is that brands used to operate, customers used to be like dogs. Brands would throw them a steak and the dog would unflinchingly and unquestioningly eat it. Now, brands put out a bit of content and the customer says, well, maybe not, yeah? So who are the experts now, right? And well, that question is largely unanswered and is a major influence on the zeitgeist today, which has expectations sky high. I took a picture of one of these vans outside my house before I moved from West to East London. I couldn't believe it. This was a stock photo, but this is proper oils. They deliver and collect and recycle your cooking oil. I mean, talk about niche, right? The expectation levels we have for every tiny bit of our life are insane. clients, the CMOs are under more pressure than ever. In 2018, they'll be expected to control the explosion of data, predict the next disruptive technology, and work out how their teams go to market. For agencies, people like me, we're trying to figure out our approach to AI, which is the next technology frontier. What works for us, for our clients, for our brands, for our customers? And for customers today, I reckon they have 5 really big expectations of 2018. They want of us and of brands out there to be quick, captivating, personal, helpful, and authentic. It's a tough call. So step forward recommendation engines and new nudges. And this is a great opportunity for AI because people are happy with machine assistance. I think 62 say they're comfortable with AI answering their questions. And 51% are comfortable exchanging their data. They realize that actually that data is required in a smooth running of a system. So given that global mobile traffic, Tom, thanks for the deck that you shared, the man who does 1% of SlideShare, global traffic has doubled in the last 2 years, right? It's insane. And given how much data we share daily, it's reasonable to expect tailored experiences in return. And the lack of this fair value exchange is one of the reasons why the advertising industry is at a turning point. It is an industry in crisis, the Greek word which means turning point. We move through the era of broadcast, direct and digital, and the question is what's next? Everybody's waiting, what is next? Well, I put to you the answer might be a natural evolution of creative technology. Evolution, culture and innovation, these words, these concepts all have the same thing in common. At their heart, it's a progress that keeps combining and including the high value elements and leaving the stuff out that doesn't work. And art and science have always had a very close relationship. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein 200 years ago today, or this year. It was arguably the first sci-fi story, right? She was challenged by Lord Byron when a volcanic ash cloud erupted out of a volcano in the East Indies in 1815. That actually spawned the invention of the bicycle, a story you should go and look into. At the same time, this volcanic ash cloud ended up over Lake Geneva, and Lord Byron was there with Shelley. Lights were out, they were struggling, and he set the people around the fireplace a challenge to write a horror story. And Shelley was struggling, but her husband was a galvanist. He was into electricity. Apparently he used to electrocute people when he got home around the dinner table just to see their reaction. And she was inspired by the work he was doing and came up with this story for Frankenstein. Now you've got Blade Runner, robotics, it's all happening. Obviously, lots of things in the Star Trek world and the Star Wars world get created, and then scientists come along and they make them. And talking about art, in the last presentation, this is a piece created by 2 algorithms, I think at Reading University, the first generated art that was a little bit different but not untasteful. We're trying to get outside the kind of standard norms, and the other AI algorithm was judging if it's any good. And the ones that made it through were put in front of people in anonymous surveys, and they preferred it to real art. So what does that do? Someone comes around for dinner at my house and they say, nice piece of art there, whose is it? And I said, well, it's not actually an artist, it's an AI. What does that do for the conversation? I don't know, but it's definitely time for creativity to take advantage of collaborating with data and technology. And it feels to me like there's a natural evolution where creatives come up with tech stories, and now technology is coming up with art for us. So maybe what's next is computational creativity. AI is crafting ideas for specific individuals and specific groups. You might have heard of Google's zero moment of truth from 2 years ago, following on from first, second, third moment of truth. And the zero moment of truth was you're sat in front of your computer or your mobile, you've got all the information you need to buy your barbecue, and then you execute. Well, actually, we're moving into an era of pre-moment of truth, where the AIs are going to know what you want before you want it, and that's Eric Schmidt's goal for Google, and we can move from marketing to ideas for individuals. Development in this area is further along than you imagine, unless you've been at some of these I'll Be Back events, and this is going to be here sooner than you think. And if you're worried about serendipity, I think we heard from that from Simon on the last deck, but actually that AI art I've talked about, we saw the Japanese Claret's mints a couple of times ago at this in this forum, and Move 37, right, AlphaGo's Move, that beat Lee Sedol in March 16, and then AlphaGo Zero development in December last year, where people studying the game said the machine didn't operate like a program, and it didn't operate like a human being. It was pulling these other weird moves, right? So if you're worried about serendipity, don't be. It's going to be engineered. If it can be learned, we heard it can be encoded. So here's an example. An AI has fictitiously anticipated my needs. The insight is Google is able to target by life stage already, and an AI has estimated with 87% accuracy that I want to move house. The way it's been able to do that is it's looked at abnormal travel patterns. I've been outside of London in Hitchin and St Albans and Cambridge, increased activity on Zoopla and Rightmove, and my kids have just turned 3, right? We know when they're born, their photos of their birthdays. So the AI, the creative AI, has come up with some key triggers for me. Distance from my work, the diversity in that place where I'm going to live based on who I'm friends with on Facebook and my wife is on LinkedIn, quality of primary schools, flats for rent and houses to buy, and jobs for my wife and the kids go to school. And it's predicted that Walthamstow in E17 is the perfect place for me. It's gone online and searched out some quality memes about Walthamstow. The dogs track is not there anymore, but that has a high positive sentiment, as does this heart of Awesomstow. And actually, Awesomstow is a meme that's generated a lot of interest. It's had lots of positivity. So the AI has created a strapline for me. Awesomstow is what people are talking about, and then it's targeted me. So here we go. An email has arrived in my inbox. Awesomstow calling. Hi Alastair, look to move house. Awesomstow has it all. An advert on the Guardian, and then while I'm at the bus stop waiting, playing a football game. Now these are much more specific, right? So these ideas aren't going to be talked about in the playground, like a lot of brand ideas are desired to be now, but they are going to be talked about by friends and families. They're going to be much more relevant, much more powerful, and computational creativity has the ability to be a fully functioning, real-time, one-to-one communication channel. So better enhanced experiences and greater bottom line for brands. We aren't quite there yet. We're actually in the decision support period of AI, where insights are being used, machine learning algorithms, and recommenders are happening. However, we do know that personalized product recommendations keep customers engaged longer. In a 2017 study that my team ran on UK fashion brands, we found that the best recommendations on sites generated 140% more page views per session than laggards, and relevance on mobile ads doubles engagement. Today's biggest brands are spending millions trying to find algorithms that have the most powerful predictive capabilities, and tomorrow's businesses will live and die literally on the quality of their contextual recommendations. So how does it work? And are we ready for new nudges? Well, yeah, we are. This is anatomy of a task. Normally, we would make our prediction here based on judgment, but with all this extra data we've got now, we can feed that into machine learning algorithms and use that to support that judgment from users. And the reason this is possible is because the cost of prediction has dropped. It's lower than it ever has been before because of hosted services. Machine learning capabilities through startups and tools are available, and customers are ready for this new nudge as well. They're ready for decision support. And new CX thinking is happening already with brands in these spaces. And the best thing about recommendation engines is that they create a virtuous circle. The better your recommendation engine, the more people are going to use it. The more people use it, the better it gets. So a top recommendation, any business in the room would be start building a recommendation engine. Quick vox pop, hands up. If you could have one of these tomorrow, built by AI, what would it be? We'll show of hands. You've got 3 options. A birthday guru that's going to tell you what to get your partner for a birthday tomorrow or next week. A home hunter looking for somewhere new to live, it's going to help you sort that out. Or a new city navigator, you've gone away for a weekend with your mate. So hands up if you'd like the birthday guru. Hands up if you want the home hunter. And hands up if you want the new city navigator. Okay. Recommendations. The 2 most common techniques are content-based filtering and collaborative. So collaborative is based on previous user feedback. So actually, we'll start with content-based. Don't know why this guy's stood in a bucket. Maybe he's doing some Ayurvedic yoga. But basically, he likes Cola X. Cola Y is similar, so it's offered to him. Whereas collaborative filtering is all about people's choices. This guy likes these pizzas and he drinks that Coke, and because they eat similar pizzas, that Coke is recommended. Netflix runs a hybrid approach. It combines both. So movies that share characteristics with other movies, and also comparing the customer habits and watching and searching habits of some customers with others. Here's 3 classic examples. I was on Google a couple of weeks ago, and I opened Google Docs, and on the left-hand side there, under Revolution, it says you opened around this time. Oh no, I didn't see that. I saw the name Revolution, this document. I thought, hang on a second, I haven't opened that for like 2 days. Why is that showing up in my recommendation? Well, it knows that whatever time it is on my phone, that's normally when I open this, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was a couple of days ago, so it's just offering it up to me. Really simple, delicious. Next, and actually the agency that I work for, we have a LADS framework that we have AI baked in. It looks at the last action, so previous and historical, anticipated action, predicted, the desired action, so the guided one that we want to influence you on, the new nudge, and statutory actions. The second one is tone of voice. There's been some big developments recently in voice. You can now get a sentiment on the way in through Voice ID, through Google's natural language API, and on the way out of your voice skill, you can use some of the Alexa's new skills. Their new development interface has brought a voice and tone tab on the left, and you can change the rate, the pitch, the volume, whispers, pauses, phonetic pronunciation, pecan versus pecan. And then on the right-hand side is something we're working on for a client of ours at the moment called Shoe Matcher. Rather, if I'm buying a pair of shoes and I just bought a green pair, then do you really want to sell me a different shade of green or a red pair of shoes? No. What we want to do is let customers put their outfit on the bed, take a photo, and machine learning sends that up to the cloud, works out what kind of dress it is, what colour the bag is that's going with, what colour the scarf is, and then gives you a recommendation from their product library of a pair of shoes that's going to fit with that outfit for your birthday in a month's time. So, getting towards the end, I'm a computer scientist. Don't blame me, so I can say this. Yoda was wrong. He's talking shit. Do or do not is ridiculous. Talk about setting the bar incredibly high. What a wanker. He's wrong. Yoda is all about trying, okay? Especially in the world of innovation. Explorare is the Latin verb, which means to test, to try, to find out, to experience, to do, okay? And when you break it down, that's what experiments are. They're trials. Checking stuff out. And do you know what? When you measure experiences, when you put people in a lab in front of that product, that you experiment, and you measure it, that becomes a measured experience. And guess what the past participle of explorare is? When you do these things, you are an expert by definition. So I would say, screw Yoda, don't worry about doing it or not doing it, just have a try, have a play, and what you can do now is, as long as you've got the data, there are relatively cheap ways to crunch that and make your own predictions. There's 2 online tools, and you can use those robust tools and cloud services to build expertise and IP quicker than you think. And I did, so there were most hands in the room for the new City Navigator. My brother and I set ourselves a challenge. In what area could AI be most valuable? An AI that guides you around a city you don't know on a big night out with your lads. Perfect. And where better than Amsterdam? A place that looks pretty much exactly the same every time you turn the corner. And we wanted to build a system that used your personal preferences, shed load of contextual data, location, season, day part, weather, time, previous history, to curate the best single recommendation for the next place you should go. So we did. We built it in 2 weeks using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and actually we used Google Sheets for the database, and a bit of .NET. It was pretty scrappy. We were still coding the minimum love product on the plane on the way there. We spent 50 quid on some stickers that we stuck in 50 locations around Amsterdam. We talked to people about it. We got a load of cool unintended consequences, as well as getting us to the Bulldog mat on time for a beer. We learned about tech stack choices, spiking new techniques with Google Docs, real-time interactions with customers when you hand people things and their feedback, and that guerrilla campaigns actually worked. So we generated about 2,000 visitors on a budget of 50 quid. It's pretty much dead now, but for the 3 months after we went, those stickers that we put in urinals and in bars and in clubs, they generated action with relatively little help, relatively little effort. So, and this is the AI framework we put together. So availability, distance and time came up with your content base, where should we go next? And then after the action, depending on whether we followed those links or asked for more results, that got fed back in for collaborative filtering. So it's not actually that complicated, okay? You can do it pretty quickly. A McKinsey study of 3,000 C-level executives across 10 countries and 14 sectors deduced that only 20% of those companies were using AI in 2017. And a review of 160 use cases proved that AI was deployed in only 12 commercial applications. So new nudges powered by AI have the ability to deliver a step change in recommendations, and I would suggest you crack on and start building your own. Thank you very much.